When we're talking about conspiracy theories, you've got the classics, like the moon landing and Area 51, but as you go deeper, you uncover some seriously wild stuff. Today, we're going to explore the deepest layers of the super intriguing, borderline crazy conspiracy theories iceberg. Just a heads up, things are going to get wacky, but that's half the fun. Let's begin. Finland isn't real. According to this theory, Finland as we know it doesn't actually exist. It's a grand global hoax perpetuated by powerful governments and organizations. This theory claims that the landmass we commonly refer to as Finland is, in reality, an enormous secret territory shared between Russia and Sweden, carefully concealed from the rest of the world for centuries. The story goes that during the Cold War era, Finland was supposedly used as a buffer zone between Russia and Western countries. To maintain this facade, world governments colluded to fabricate maps, histories, and even cultural elements associated with Finland, including Finnish cuisine, folklore, and the concept of Finnishness. The theory further suggests that the world's GPS systems are intentionally programmed to mislead travelers, making them believe that they are in Finland when they are, in fact, somewhere else entirely. The alleged purpose of this elaborate ruse is to keep true richness and natural resources of the region hidden from the public eye. Continents beyond the ice wall. This theory suggests that an immense, ice-covered rim surrounds our known world, acting as a barrier to prevent us from discovering hidden continents and civilizations beyond. These hypothetical lands are often depicted as vast, unexplored territories inhabited by various advanced and exotic societies, creatures, and ecosystems. This narrative sometimes draws parallels with ancient myths and legends of distant, mysterious lands. Civilizations before humans. A prior advanced civilization that existed perhaps millions of years ago, this concept delves into the challenge of identifying traces of a civilization before humanity's time. While researchers propose that sufficient fossil carbon to fuel an industrial civilization has existed since the Carboniferous period, direct evidence of such a civilization is deemed unlikely due to the rarity of fossilization and the Earth's constantly changing surface. Instead, they suggest that indirect evidence could include climate changes, anomalies in sediment, or traces of nuclear waste. Moreover, the hypothesis speculates that artifacts from pre-human civilizations could potentially be found in celestial bodies like the Moon and Mars, where erosion and tectonic activity are less likely to erase evidence. The Internet was discovered. It suggests that the Internet is not a human creation, but something inherent to the fabric of the universe, waiting for us to uncover. In this view, humans stumbled upon a pre-existing network that connects all knowledge, ideas, and information. Proponents of this theory imagine that the Internet's discovery was a momentous event, akin to uncovering a hidden dimension of reality. Living water. While mainstream scientific understanding regards water as a chemical compound composed of H2O molecules, proponents of this theory suggest a different perspective. From this viewpoint, water is believed to have a unique property that suggests consciousness, such as its ability to hold and transmit information, respond to emotions and intentions, and exhibit distinct structures in frozen water crystals based on the environment and thoughts around it. Advocates often cite the work of researchers like Masaru Emoto, who claimed that human emotions could influence the crystalline structures of frozen water. Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is a controversial conspiracy theory proposing that NASA, in cooperation with the United Nations and other shadowy organizations, intend to orchestrate a global deception. According to this theory, advanced technology, including sophisticated holographic projections and mind control, would be used to stage a simulated second coming of Jesus Christ. This event would serve as the cornerstone of a New Age religion designed to manipulate and control humanity's beliefs and actions, ultimately paving the way for the establishment of a new world order, a global government with unprecedented power. North Korea equals utopia. The idea that North Korea is a utopia and that other nations are portrayed as the bad guys is a viewpoint that sharply contrasts with the mainstream understanding of North Korea's political and social situation. This perspective is often advanced by North Korean state propaganda and occasionally by a small number of individuals outside the country who may sympathize with North Korean regime. Proponents of this viewpoint argue that North Korea provides free healthcare, education, and housing for its citizens. Tesseract Earth. The concept of a Tesseract Earth envisions our planet as a hypercube, a four-dimensional analog of a cube or square, which extends the idea of dimensions beyond our conventional three-dimensional understanding. This concept, akin to science fiction and speculative thought experiments, explores the possibility of Earth existing in a higher dimension, or alternate realities. The Others in Genesis. The reference to the others in the context of the book of Genesis pertains to a topic of theological and interpretive debate. In the biblical narrative, Adam and Eve are traditionally understood as the first human beings created by God. However, the text does not explicitly detail the existence of other people outside of their immediate family, leading to the questions about the origins of these additional individuals, sometimes referred to as the others. One perspective posits that these other people could have been created by God alongside or after Adam and Eve. Some interpretations suggest that the Bible's focus on the lineage of Adam and Eve and the mention of Cain's curse could imply that he would live in the presence of other individuals who were not explicitly named or featured in the narrative. This has led to theological discussions about the scope and focus of the Genesis account and the potential existence of a broader human population beyond Adam and Eve's family. Psychedelic astronauts. The theory revolves around the idea that astronauts who have ventured into space may have had mind-altering experiences or encounters with extraterrestrial beings that have not been openly disclosed to the public. This theory suggests that these astronauts might have been exposed to an unknown substances or phenomena during their space missions, leading to profound shifts in their consciousness. These altered states of mind could have unlocked hidden knowledge or even triggered contact with advanced civilizations, sparking a secret space-age enlightenment. The Battle of Los Angeles. This event occurred during World War II on the night of February 24th to 25th, 1942. In the midst of wartime tension and the fear of Japanese attack on the U.S. West Coast, a series of UFOs were sighted over Los Angeles. The military went on high alert, and anti-aircraft artillery was fired at the objects, leading to a chaotic and dramatic scene with searchlights sweeping over the night sky. The incident, however, resulted in no enemy aircraft being down, and the UFOs eventually disappeared. The event has sparked various conspiracy theories and speculations, including the notion that it was a cover-up for extraterrestrial visitation or secret military experiments, while the official explanation is that the incident was a case of mistaken identity. Incan airplanes. The concept of Incan airplanes refers to a fringe theory that suggests the ancient Incan civilizations, like the Inca Empire in South America, may have possessed knowledge of aviation or aircraft-like technology. This theory often points to historical accounts, artwork, or artifacts as evidence of Incan aviation capabilities. Clockwork elves. The concept of clockwork elves is a highly unconventional and metaphysical idea often associated with certain psychedelic experiences and alternative spiritual beliefs. According to proponents of this concept, these beings are thought to exist in a higher dimension or alternate realities, which become accessible to individuals during intense psychedelic trips. In this view, encountering clockwork elves is described as a profound and sometimes challenging experience. It's believed that these beings may impart wisdom, provide spiritual insights, or test an individual's mental and emotional resilience. The interpretation of these encounters can vary widely, with some individuals reporting positive and transformative experiences, while others describe them as unsettling or even malevolent. Life is an unproven theory. Life as an unproven theory touches upon this philosophical question about the nature of existence and consciousness. Philosophers and scientists have grappled with these questions for centuries, and there is an ongoing debate about what constitutes life and how to define it. René Descartes, a prominent philosopher, is known for his famous statement, "I think, therefore I am," which reflects his skepticism about the nature of reality. He questioned whether anything could be known for certain and whether the external world truly exists. In the realm of modern science, the study of life is typically approached through biology, which seeks to understand the characteristics, functions, and origins of living organisms. While biology has made significant progress in understanding life processes, defining life itself in a universal and conclusive manner remains a complex challenge. The US actually landed on the moon. The theory that the US actually landed on the moon but created a hoax suggesting otherwise for ulterior motives is a unique and elaborate take on the moon landing conspiracy theories. According to this perspective, the moon landings did occur, but the public was intentionally misled about their true purpose or what was discovered on the lunar surface. Proponents of this theory speculate that the moon missions uncovered something extraordinary or potentially unsettling, such as evidence of extraterrestrial life, advanced technology, or secret lunar bases. The alleged motive for concealing this information might include maintaining control over advanced technologies, protecting national security interests, or preventing widespread panic, and societal disruption. Or this entry could just be a joke in reference to the widely known conspiracy theory suggesting that the moon landing was staged. People who cannot think don't exist. This delves into the nature of self-awareness and consciousness, suggesting that one can only be certain of their own existence because they can think and reason. The concept raises the question of whether other individuals possess consciousness in the same way and whether their experiences are fundamentally unknowable. This idea is a variation of Solipsism, a philosophical position that asserts that only one's own mind is certain to exist. We killed God. The interpretation of Friedrich Nietzsche's statement, God is dead, we have killed him, as a theory suggests that humanity has somehow killed God, can be seen as a metaphorical or philosophical perspective on the decline of religious belief and the changing role of religion in society. Nietzsche's original statement was intended to express the idea of traditional religious beliefs were losing their influence and significance in the modern world, rather than implying a literal death of a deity. The Rapture already happened. The Rapture already happened is a unique interpretation of the eschatological beliefs which center around the end times and the return of Christ in Christian theology. This perspective suggests that the rapture, an event in which believers are said to have been taken up to God, has already occurred in the past, and those who are currently living are either those who are left behind or their descendants. Her. Often referred to as her, and associated with the discussions on 4chan's X-board, represents a unique and imaginative interpretation of biblical themes and religious concepts. In this perspective, it is suggested that God attempted to create a significant other, but the being created was unable to be equal with God, thus resulting in failure. This being, referred to as her, is depicted as existing, but incapable of fulfilling the role of God's equal or partner. Immortality-induced amnesia. The concept of immortality-induced amnesia is a thought-provoking extension of the quantum immortality hypothesis, which explores the idea that consciousness persists in an alternative timelines when a person dies. In this interpretation, each death leads to a creation of a new timeline in which the individual survives, and that they experience a form of amnesia. This concept delves into the complex interplay of time, consciousness, and quantum theory. God's ego death. The theory of God's ego death proposes a unique perspective on religious narratives, suggesting that God underwent a transformative process between the Old and New Testaments, culminating in the life of Jesus. This theory aims to reconcile and reinterpret theological themes, presenting God as experiencing an ego death akin to personal transformation. God's last wish. The concept of God's last wish presents a philosophical perspective on the nature of divinity and the human experience. In this interpretation, it is suggested that God, in an act of self-limitation or sacrifice, expended all of their power to create human beings as godlike entities. The purpose of this creative act was to allow humans to prosper and experience life in the way that God, as an all-powerful being, could not. The final understanding. The final understanding centers around the discovery of the meaning of life and its subsequent implications of discovery for humanity. It suggests that uncovering the ultimate purpose or significance of human existence will be a transformative and intentionally profound moment for our species. This perspective raises questions about the nature of meaning, the human quest for knowledge and purpose, the potential impact of such a revelation on the individual lives and society as a whole. The idea implies that once the meaning of life is fully comprehended, it will lead to a collective final understanding that shapes human beliefs, values, and actions. Infinity paradox. The concept of the infinity paradox explores the counterintuitive nature of infinity, where a container of infinite size can seemingly accommodate an infinite number of items while remaining both always filled and never filled at the same time. This paradox highlights the challenging and abstract nature of infinite sets and their properties. When applied to the idea of the final understanding and the meaning of life, it suggests that the pursuit of meaning and understanding may be an ongoing limitless journey. In this interpretation, as new meanings are discovered, they may generate further questions and insights, leading to an endless cycle of exploration and discovery. The paradox underscores the idea that the quest for understanding can be a continuous and infinite process, where the search for meaning perpetually unfolds, much like the mathematical paradox of infinity itself. The knowledge paradox. The knowledge paradox dives into the relationship between conceptual understanding and the objective reality they represent. It posits that while we acquire knowledge and understanding through concepts, these concepts are inherently abstract and removed from the true nature of reality, creating a gap between what we know as the actual world. This paradox reflects the epistemological challenge of bridging the divine between our mental representations, concepts, and external reality they aim to describe. It raises questions about the limitations of human cognition, the accuracy of our conceptual models, and the extent to which we can achieve a direct, unmediated understanding of the world. The sky is a hologram. The sky as a hologram is a speculative and unconventional viewpoint that challenges the conventional understanding of the natural world. It implies that the sky, which we perceive as an expanse above us, may not be a physical reality but instead a holographic projection or illusion. This perspective aligns with the certain fringe theories and conspiracy theories that question the nature of reality, suggesting our perception of the sky is somehow manipulated or simulated. Nothing outside your vision exists. Nothing outside your vision exists appears to reflect a solipsistic perspective, which posits that only one's own mind and experiences are certain, while the existence of an external, objective reality is uncertain or unverifiable. From this standpoint, the world and everything beyond an individual's immediate perception are considered contingent on their awareness, and reality is defined solely by what is within their sensory experience. Empty Internet. In the empty internet concept, the digital landscape is portrayed as a place where only a small number of real users exist, while the majority are automated bots. This imaginative scenario prompts contemplation about the prevalence of automation, spam, and misinformation on the internet. It also raises an important question about the authenticity of online interactions and the challenges of distinguishing between real humans and automated entities in our digital world. Dovland, Wisconsin. A small town in Wisconsin that mysteriously appeared from existence one day. According to this idea, there's no physical evidence left on the town's existence, and all recollection of it has been erased from the memories of those who once knew it. Retrocausality. Retrocausality states that the past does not affect the present affects the past. Even though we move forward, our actions move backwards. Bacterial humanity. Think of your body as a home to trillions of tiny living things, like bacteria. They live inside us, especially in our stomachs, and they're important for our health. It's like we're their big, moving neighborhood. These tiny little beings help us with things like digesting food and keeping us from getting sick. While they're clever in their own way, they're not as smart as humans. It's just the way to say that they're really good at what they do. This idea shows how closely connected we are to these tiny creatures, and together we make up some kind of super community that helps us stay healthy and alive. Sun collapse. This phenomenon, characterized by low solar activity, has been observed recently, with the sunspot-free days reaching 44 in a row. During solar minimus, increased cosmic ray activity can pose risks to astronauts, satellites, and the power grids. The exact effects on our planet and atmosphere remain unclear, but some scientists suggest it could be related to climate change. The sun is undergoing unusual changes, and experts had predicted the minimum peak would be around 2019. NASA is preparing to send the Parker Probe Plus to explore the sun's mysteries and potential threats. Endless elevators. In abandoned buildings, there are elevators that seem to go on forever, descending deeper and deeper below the basement. Some people say these elevators can even take you to a place that feels like hell itself. 24-hour year. Timecube was a strange and controversial personal website created by a man named Otis Eugene, Gene Ray, in 1997. Ray claimed to be the wisest man on Earth, and used the website to share his unconventional theory, also called Timecube. According to this theory, all modern science and education were part of a global conspiracy to hide the truth that each day consists of 4 separate days happening simultaneously. Ray's website had a chaotic design, with long, difficult-to-navigate pages filled with jargon and bizarre claims. He used terms that he invented but never explained, making it challenging to understand his ideas. He often stated that his wisdom was so advanced that a psychiatrist was diagnosed him with schizophrenia. One central idea of Timecube was that there were 4 different days within a single rotation of the Earth: sun up, midday, sundown, and midnight. Ray offered a cash reward for anyone who could prove him wrong, but the proof had to fit within his own unusual model, which made it nearly impossible to claim the prize. The Victorian Internet. The Victorian Internet, The Remarkable Story of a Telegraph and the 19th Century Online Pioneers, by Tom Standage, published in 1998, explores the profound impact of the electric telegraph during the 19th century and draws parallels between its transformative effects on society and the latter event of the Internet in the 20th century. Standage argues that the telegraph, by enabling real-time global communication, marked a qualitative shift in human connectivity, emphasizing its historical significance. The book showcases various applications of the telegraph, including romantic relationships formed over telegraph wires and the telegraph's role in crime solving. Standage also highlights the intriguing similarities between the cultures of the 19th century telegraph operators and modern-day internet users. Egg blueprints. There were blueprints showing an egg-shaped time machine. The theory implies that time travel without said egg machine is possible. Eggless travel is apparently a spin-off of a larger conspiracy theory originating in the 1980s called Ong's Hat. Basically, it appears to have been a proto-viral marketing experiment in the very early days of the internet. It involved a conspiracy theory about a Princeton professor using a device known as the egg to achieve interdimensional travel. Eggless travel is the idea that they were searching for a way to travel between dimensions without the need of the egg. Looks to me like some really obscure, long-lost stuff, almost like a proto-ARG multimedia storytelling experiment. Bermuda Triangle resurfacing. Ships and planes routinely get lost in the Bermuda Triangle, and some of them resurface, unless this topic is referring to the resurfacing of the ocean floor in that area, which would be far more bizarre. Apollo 11 landed on the wrong moon. This has to do with the dual moon theory. This theory states that we have two moons in the sky and they take turns appearing for us. Only one is visible on Earth at a time, and they're both identical because they're both artificial. As such, the moon landing is simultaneously a hoax and real. The moon we have today is a result of Nelson Mandela and shenaniganery, and therefore is distinct from the very real moon that Apollo 11 landed on. The Von Allen belts caused a bloop in space-time, so they landed on a different Earth than they left. Total Predictive Anticipatory Software. TPAS is a speculative concept that envisions an advanced software system capable of harnessing predictive analysis and extensive data collection to anticipate further events and behaviors on a societal or global scale. TPAS would rely on sophisticated algorithms, machine learning, and vast data sources to make accurate predictions, granting unparalleled power and control to those who possess and govern it, with implications for privacy, surveillance, and governance. Nougat. In 1990, a poorly made amateur-quality children's film was released under the name Spinosaurus. It was an attempt to secretly share with the public the fact that not only did dinosaurs still exist in Southeast Asia, but that their continued existence was a sole contributor to the US forces losing in Vietnam. Once the feds learned of this children's movie that threatened not only US global military homogeny, but also mankind's perception of prehistory, the CIA sent special agents in all major cities and had them masquerade as film critics to completely pan the movie. The movie was considered a gigantic flop. No home video copies were ever released, and all film reels were collected by a shadowy service and destroyed. Molecules can be seen with the human eye. According to this theory, the floaters you sometimes see when you look at bright background are actually protein molecules in your eyes. The universe ended long ago. The Poincaré recurrence theorem, named after Henri Poincaré, is a mathematical and physical principle that states that certain dynamic systems, particularly those that are volume-preserving and have only bounded orbits, will, after a sufficiently long but finite time, return to a state that is either arbitrarily close or exactly the same as their initial state. This theorem has applications in areas such as ergodic theory, dynamic systems, and statistical mechanics. It essentially suggests that in isolated mechanical systems with certain constraints, there is a recurrence of states, meaning that the system will revisit states that it had previously been in, although the exact timing and order of these recurrences can vary. Stars are holes in the sky. A theory that states that the stars/planets that we see in the night sky are in fact air holes that can only be perceived in the night sky. During the day, these holes can't be seen due to the massive amounts of fluorescent light that is flooded over our massive sphere known as Earth. According to this theory, humanity is part of a massive experiment of some kind. Stars are holes, in that they are empty, even in the void's vacuum. They're empty of emptiness, and so shine as a pure radiant fullness. The light is the absent of darkness. 90% of books are written by one author. You know those cheap paperbacks in bookstores you never read? The ones written by authors you've never heard of? Those are all written by the same ghostwriter. No one actually reads them, they're just there to pad out the simulation. Basically, a problem with long-term codification is how recorded history is stored. To a much more advanced society, tens of thousands of years into the future, a single archive of humanity's literary works, or anything similar, might come across as being the work of a singular group or author. Forced soul removal. The theory of forced soul removal postulates that through certain methods, our souls can be forcibly dislocated from our bodies. Though this notion may seem utterly science fiction, it has roots in historical evidence and documented phenomena. For example, the spiritual practices of many ancient cultures included rituals aimed at soul transference, where the soul of one being was transferred to another. This practice, while vastly different from the modern notion of forced soul removal, suggests that manipulating souls might be within the realms of possibility. Meat stations and meat tradings. Do not research. An underground black market that trades and sells human meat, sold to humans for human consumption, and animals in some cases. Humans are one of the easiest consumables to make and harvest. In certain parts of the world, it's very easy to disguise these types of operations, and this is an obviously very illegal and dangerous operation. China's real population. According to this theory, China is on the brink of collapse. Years of one-child policy have created unstable gender imbalance. Carelessness with population mixed with massive government cover-ups has resulted in thousands of deaths. Time began with the detonation of the atomic bomb. The idea is that the detonation of Hiroshima was so dangerous in so many timelines that people in the far future have kept on going back in time to the end of World War II to make sure we did it right, as in not destroy the entire planet and start a nuclear winter. The idea is that we're in a timeline where our future selves fixed things and made things go right. The Royal Rife Machine. Royal Raymond Rife was an American inventor and early exponent of the high magnification, time-lapse cinematography. He is best known for the claimed beam ray invented during the 1930s, which he thought could treat some diseases by devitalizing disease organisms through vibration. The technology he described is now classified as a type of radionics device, which has been rejected as an effective medical treatment. Lost Satellaview games. This was an add-on to Nintendo's Super Nintendo system in the 90s, which allowed for satellite broadcasted video games. Many of these games are lost to time, though we have found a good bit of certain games like BS Legend of Zelda, and as well as Super Mario. Not really sure why this is on conspiracy theories, but it's more of a lost media thing. But it is really interesting, and I suggest you definitely look into it because it's super cool. Omphalos. An omphalos is a religious stone artifact, with its name derived from the ancient Greek word omphalos, meaning navel. In ancient Greek mythology, it was believed that Delphi represented the center of the world. According to legend, Zeus used two eagles sent from the opposite ends of the world, and where they crossed paths above Delphi became the center of the earth, marked by the omphalos stone. The omphalos also holds significance as the stone given to Cronus, and was considered a powerful religious symbol in the Mediterranean region. The term Omphalos syndrome refers to the belief that a place of great geopolitical power is the most important in the world. Omphalos stones were believed to enable direct communication with the gods and were associated with various religious traditions. In literature, the omphalos is often referenced and carries symbolic meaning, with notable mentions in works and authors such as James Joyce, D.H. Lawrence, and Philip K. Dick. The Baghdad Battery. The Baghdad Battery consists of three ancient artifacts found in Iraq in 1936, comprising a ceramic pot, a copper tube, and an iron rod, whose exact purpose and origin have sparked debates among scholars and archaeologists. While one theory suggests they may have functioned as a galvanic cell for electroplating or electrotherapy, this hypothesis lacks widespread acceptance, and alternative explanations, such as serving as storage vessels for sacred scrolls, have been proposed. The artifact's true function remains uncertain due to the lack of clear historical context and evidence. and their mysterious disappearance during the 2003 Iraq invasion further complicates research into their purpose. DNA formed in the Big Bang. A handful of scientists have claimed to find organic traces in space, including RNA, DNA, and even blobs of organic grease. Bank of Souls. Guf, a Hebrew term signifying body, holds a central place in Jewish mysticism, particularly within the concept of the Chamber of Guf, or the Treasury of Souls, situated in the seventh heaven. According to Jewish mythology, the Garden of Eden houses a tree of life, often referred to as the Tree of Souls, which perpetually generates new souls. These nascent souls descend into the Guf, a repository where they are stored until needed. The Archangel Gabriel retrieves the first soul that comes into his grasp from the treasury, while the Angel of Conception, Lila, watches over the embryo until birth. The Guf is seen as significant in understanding the unique role of each person's soul, contributing to the world's destiny, and is metaphorically described as a body. This belief is intertwined with the mythic tradition of Adam Kadmon, the primordial man, from whom all human souls are fragments, emphasizing the individual importance of every soul. God of the Gaps. The concept of God of the Gaps emerged in the 19th century as a theological idea. It revolves around the notion that gaps in scientific understanding are seen as evidence of existence of God. This perspective has its roots in the observation that some individuals, often with religious inclinations, point to areas where science falls short in explaining natural phenomenon as opportunities to insert the presence of a divine creator. The term of the God of Gaps was coined in response to this tendency. It suggests that God fills in the gaps left by scientific knowledge, and the gaps represent moments of divine intervention or influence. Oil from humans. In a future where most of the world's fossil fuels are depleted or contaminated due to war-related causes, the concept of processing human remains into crude oil for energy use is theoretically possible but faces significant challenges, including the complex conversion of organic matter into hydrocarbons, the need for substantial energy input, low efficiency yield, ethical concerns, and the exploration of alternative energy sources, making it a thought-provoking and controversial element of the narrative. Feelings autosuppression. Expressive suppression is the deliberate act of reducing facial expression of an emotion and is the component of emotional regulation. It involves concealing one's true emotional state by masking facial expressions. While there's evidence that suppressing facial expressions can affect an individual's experience of emotion, its impact varies depending on the emotion. For instance, it may decrease the experience of positive emotions but doesn't necessarily reduce that experience of negative emotions. Expressive suppression is often used in social situations to conform to emotional norms, facilitate social interaction, and prevent conflict or negative judgments from others. However, it can have negative psychological and physiological effects, and its effectiveness in regulating emotions is debated. Factors such as gender, individual differences, and cultural norms play a role in how expressive suppression is employed and its consequences. Porn stars leeching your energy. If you lurk around the depths of the internet long enough, you're certain to run into several neat-type individuals. I would ascertain that they are mostly men in 20s to 40s who have fallen into the monotony of life. They eat, they sleep, they work, and they watch adult videos the rest of the time. I imagine this fills a social void beyond just sexual. You will find these people complaining about the degeneracy of adult videos, and they will continue to watch it. Much like a drug, this is where things like No Nut November originated from, people fighting the addiction. They are either indulging or actively thinking about not indulging. Their energy is drained, they are unable to have regular conversations with people, and they see no reason to pursue actually romantic relationships. This puts in the theory and the thought process that these adult videos are actually leeching one's life energy. Virus 23. Virus 23 is a sequence of numbers or sounds that is a mathematical equation proving everything in the universe is predetermined, and discovering this makes you lose your mind. Pattern manipulation. Through a series of studies, researchers have found that irrational beliefs are related to perceiving patterns in random events, such as coin toss outcomes, and that pattern perception plays a role in these beliefs. The studies also show that perceiving patterns in chaotic paintings Agreement with texts supporting paranormal or conspiracy theories, and even specific manipulations of belief in conspiracy theories can influence the extent to which people hold irrational beliefs. Ascension Blacklist. This is a list prepared by the people high up when humankind finally ascends to the next plane of existence. Selected individuals, however, will be left, which are those on the blacklist. Fractal Cosmology. Fractal cosmology is a set of cosmological theories that propose the distribution of matter in the universe, or the structure of the universe itself, exhibits fractal characteristics across various scales. This means that patterns and structures repeat themselves in a self-similar manner, whether observed on a very large or very small scale. The central question in this field revolves around determining the fractal dimension of the universe or distribution of matter within it, particularly when measured at extreme scales. In observational cosmology, the idea of a fractal pattern in the distribution of galaxies was first employed in the late 1980s by Luciano Pietranero and his team. They argued that the universe displayed a fractal aspect over a range of scales, with an estimated fractal dimension of about 2. Not sure what 2, but 2. This dimension signifies the degree of complexity in the distribution, with an homogeneous 3D object having a dimension of 3 and the surface being 2, while the fractal surface falls between 2 and 3. There is no conspiracy. The only reason anything is obscured is because you're the only one able to convince yourself of anything. You're given enough information to dwell on, so when you've completed the thought on that subject, you're ready for the next thought to ponder. History is not nearly as simple as a conspiracy theories posit with their grand narrative that tie up every loose end in a paranoid knot. This would be simply a skeptical position to conspiracy theories in general. Conspiracy theories are a cope, to deal with the horrific idea that no one's in control of the ship, and humanity is just blundering towards its doom, not through the machinations of any ancient organization committed to cosmic oblivion, but through its own stupidity and error.